Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. And I'm here to review the Pro Wrestling Illustrated October 1992 issue. So let's open up and start getting to reviewing. Here you got the table of contents. Picture of Macho Man choking the Ultimate Warrior. Between the falls, the letters that the fans write to the magazine. Picture the dirty white girl Kimberly. There's a reader who loves her so much that she wants to name the magazine the Kimberly Illustrated. So, dirty white girl Kimberly. Ringside, all the latest news, and this talks about promoter Don Owens retiring from Pacific Northwest Wrestling after over 30 years in the business. And he's handed the promotion over to Sandy Barr, and because they had lost TV, so he figured the promotion couldn't keep running, so he retired. And then showed like people like Roddy Piper and Kurt Hennig wrestled in Pacific Northwest, and how Roddy Piper was always loyal to Don Owens, and he wouldn't run in that when he was with WWF. If they went against Portland, he wouldn't show up. So they also talk about Steve Austin losing the WCW TV title to Barry Windham, but then regaining it a couple of weeks later. Also talks about Bill Watts coming into WCW. From the death of Stu Sachs, and it's basically also talking about WCW hiring Bill Watts to be their new vice president of operations at WCW. A lot of people thought when he came in he was gonna make a difference. I mean, he did. Was it for the better? I guess not, because he didn't survive. He didn't stay. So also, this like new issue. This issue is like all. This is one of the type of magazines that I like, because this when the whole thing was colory and all slick, and the covers were all the covers. The pages had color in them, and they were slick and glossy. So this only lasted for a couple of issues though. But yeah, I definitely like this brand of it. And In Focus talk just gives a survey of how much wrestling is available in areas nowadays. This is in 92. The Steel Cage, Bob Smith Steel Cage, just talks about how WWF has always had some wacky characters, while most promotions around the world had mostly serious wrestlers. WWF has always had some type of weird, uh, gimmicky type wrestlers, like the Executioners and Papa Shango and the Honky Tonk Man. It's like no matter what no matter what era they've been in, there's always been some type of goofy wrestling, goofy wrestlers, gimmicky wrestlers. Win, Lose, or Draw talks about Jim Cornette. This is the begin. Jim Cornette inviting Andy Rodriguez to come down to see Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Of course, this is when an era when we didn't know that Jim Cornette actually owned Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but he was just presented as a manager. And he was trying to tell him to come check out his new tag team, the Heavenly Bodies of Stan Lane and Dr. Tom Pritchard. So this is kind of the first introduction into Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And Off the Top Rope with Eddie Elner, where people write him letters and he answers them. Wrestling's Best, they have a bunch of the videos, VHS tapes. I remember I used to stare at this all the time wanting this. I wanted the Best of Starrcade 83 through 87 and Super Brawl 1 and 2, Halloween Havoc. I wanted all this stuff. Now, thanks to the network, if network on Peacock, I've seen most of this stuff. Scouting report, where they give a report of like the top tag teams. They have a report on the Fabulous Freebirds, the Legion of Doom, the Moondogs, the Steiners, the Natural Disasters, and the Heavenly Bodies. Top 10 ratings, the top 10 guys in wrestling. The number one WWF World Champion Randy Savage, number 2 WCW World Champion Sting, number 3 US Champ Rick Rude, number 4 Intercontinental Champion Bret Hart, number 5 WCW Light Heavyweight Champion Brian Pillman, number 6 USWA Champ Jerry Lawler, number 7 The Ultimate Warrior, number 8 Shawn Michaels, number 9 Rick Steamboat, and number 10 the Global North American Champion Scott Putski. We got the top tag teams. Number 1, the WCW Tag Team Champions, the Steiners. Number 2, the WCW US Tag Team Champions, the Freebirds. Number 3, the WWF Tag Team Champions, Money Inc. Number 4, the Natural Disasters. Number 5, the Legion of Doom. Number 6, the Heavenly Bodies. Number 7, the Moondogs. Number 8, the Global Tag Team Champions, Gary Young and Stephen Dane. Number 9, the USA Tag Team Champions, Steve Dahl and the Grappler. And number 10, the Nasty Boys. And I think they actually have first time they have Smoky Mountain in the ratings, but they're in the little small gate section. And also I don't know if this is the first time they have ECW, but they do have ECW, and this is a completely different version, early version of the ECW. The champion was Johnny Hotbody. Number 1 is Jimmy Jannetty. Number 2 is Salvador Belmo. Number 3 is the Sandman. Number 4 is Crybaby Waldo. Number 5 is Larry Winters. Number 6 is Tony Stetson. Number 7 is JT Smith. Number 8 is Metal Maniac. Number 9 is Glenn Osborne. And number 10 is King Kula. So I only heard a couple of those names, but this is part of the original ECW. This is before even Eddie Gilbert came in. Eastern Championship Wrestling. And they got an interview with Dr. Death Steve Williams. This is just as him and Terry Gordy about to come to WCW. They've had their run in All Japan, and now they're coming to WCW to get a feud with the Steiners, which I was just so happy because I heard so much hype about Doc and Gordy as a tag team, and them coming in to face the Steiners. Man, I remember just being so hyped for that. Our offbeat plan to make Z-Man the man. Eddie Elner has his opinions on what can make Tom Zink be the top guy in WCW, and I don't think nothing could have made that part. Nobody's advice could have made that possible. But Eddie Elner gave his advice on what can make him the man. WWF title controversy: why the Federation's best wrestlers are mad as hell. They might be mad as hell, but they're going to have to take it as long as the WWF keeps giving it. The title situation in the WWF is at a standstill, and if you're tired of the same old matches, join the crowd. So they're just talking about how the champions are defending their title against the same people. Bret Hart is always wrestling Shawn Michaels. The Road Warrior, the Legion of Doom is always wrestling the Beverly Brothers. The Ultimate Warrior is also always wrestling Papa Shango. And Macho Man is always defending the world title against Ric Flair. And it's just like they're saying how WWF is giving out the same matches over and over again. And there are other people that want shots, but they can't get it. And they were saying how Rick Martel and Tito Santana should have got at a shot at Bret Hart's Intercontinental title. And I could think that would have been kind of interesting in seeing Tito Santana get a shot at Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title. I don't think that ever happened, but that would have been an interesting match. At least I think it would have been. I would have wanted to see it. The close up, the pin up of Cactus Jack talking about his career. Centerfold of Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack, his greatest match was against Van Hammer. His toughest opponent, Hostaf Eddie Gilbert. His favorite maneuver, the flying elbow smash. His most hated opponent, Abdullah the Butcher. And the hatred still runs deep. Ultimate Warrior vs. Randy Savage. They'll settle up at SummerSlam. So this is just hype building up to Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior from SummerSlam 1992. They was talking about how Macho Man was mad, still mad that the Warrior retired him, and the Warrior was still mad that Savage caused him the WWF World Title at Royal Rumble '91. Yeah, I haven't seen this match in so long. I can't. I don't remember, but I don't think I liked it that much. But I don't think their second match was as good as their first match at WrestleMania. The SummerSlam match was not as good as their WrestleMania match. Fire, fire, the most frightening match in wrestling history. The 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 Manical Sheik has been some sickening, violent matches during his long and turbulent career, but none more barbaric than this incredible barbed wire fire bout held recently in Japan. Hopefully, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling will never put its competitors or its fans at such risk. And this is the match when the Sheik and Sabu fought Onita and Tarzan Goto. And one reason I just kind of picked this magazine was just so I could just talk about Sabu, because I really, haven't talked about him since he passed. And just Sabu was just so ahead of his time. He was just so innovative. Like, you got to think of what the business was like before him and what happened after him. I mean, like, now when you put people through a table, it's almost not even a big thing anymore. It's just like, oh, you put them through a table. The delis made it nationally known when they came to the WWF, putting people through tables. But before that, when Sabu was putting people through tables, it's like you had never seen nothing like that before. You were like, whoa, what the heck, Not only did he but he's actually doing a moonsault, putting people through tables. Like that was crazy. There was, like, before that, there was probably like two major spots involving tables. There was the first one I had saw was when Terry Funk power drove Ric Flair through the table, and that's the first one I saw. But the first one before that I saw later on was when Macho Man power drove Ricky Morton through a table, and that was crazy. Like, that today holds up. It's just like one of the most craziest things I've ever seen. But then with that and the Terry Funk thing, that was, both of those things was crazy. But then you look at Sabu, took it to a whole nother level, and he definitely did it his own way. And like I said, he was just such an innovator. And not only the tables, but the moves he was doing. The move where he would put a chair in the middle of the ring and bounce off the ropes, jump off the table, jump on the other rope, and do a backflip, a moonsault. Like his innovative, the Arabian face buster, just so much stuff he did, innovative stuff he did. And man, he should have made so much money. I mean, he changed. He really did help change the business, and he should have had way more money. He should have been financially set, but things didn't work out like that. But like he did crazy stuff like in this match right here, where it was supposed to be a match that with fire around the ring, but I guess they put too much. The people was putting too much fire fluid on the ropes, and it just got out of hand. And from these pictures, you can see how crazy it was. I think the Sheik got serious burns on his back trying to get out the ring, and he was like 60 something at the time. So yeah, this is crazy. But just Sabu in general, man, he just the whole, definitely a legend, So just R.I.P. to Sabu. Shocking photos. Eric Embry passes the Moondogs acid test. This is when the Moondogs threw battery acid in Eric Embry. The Moondogs were heels and Eric Embry was the heel, but the Moondogs were just so violent. I think they turned on Eric Embry. Eric Embry was one of my favorite wrestlers when I saw him in USW, in World Class / USWA. When he was a good guy, he was like one of my favorite wrestlers. But by the time he became a bad guy, I couldn't get USWA anymore. So I had to read about him in these magazines about him becoming a bad guy. And I was definitely shocked to see him, had the Moondogs turn on him, and then he eventually became a babyface. So, but yeah, the Moondog, just reading all the stuff about the Moondogs, man, they were crazy. It's a continuation of Between the Fours, where fans were writing letters to the magazine. Continuation of Savage vs. the Warrior. Of course, all the back issues of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Every time I see this, I just think, man, I wish I could have got all these for $3. Every time I see this, I'll probably say the same thing. Continuation of the press conference with Dr. Death Steve Williams. Continuation of the Eric Embry and the Moondogs. Yeah, and they, throwing battery acid in Eric's face, and they say he was blinded for a while, but luckily it didn't, affect him permanently. So I think he continued the feud. Then I know he got in a car wreck, and then I never heard from him again about wrestling. I think he might have retired after that. So I was a big Eric Embry fan when he was a good guy in World Class. Continuation of Off the Top Rope. And a totally new concept. A totally new concept in wrestling magazines. It's official. Sports Review Wrestling has been retired, and Wrestle America has taken its place. So that's the thing. I still don't, to this day have never got a Wrestle America magazine. It was never on the newsstands. So one of these days I gotta try to go on eBay and see if I can find some. Because I just want to sample at least each of these magazines, particularly of the after Stanley Weston magazine. So, and a continuation of Andy Rodriguez's trip to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. From the Desk, continuation of Bill Watts' debut in WCW as their vice president. This month in Wrestle America, how Papa Shango put the ultimate curse on the Ultimate Warrior. Why the Sting Nikita Koloff friendship appears doomed for failure. Complete reports on the WWF, WCW, and all the independent federations. Jim Cornette's In Heaven Raising Hell in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And the wrestler, why the Legion of Doom must go for the WWF tag titles or go away. Paulie Dangerously's Hush Money can't keep us quiet about the Dangerous Alliance. Plus the feud of the future, Repo Man vs. Crush, and Axe tells you who will demolish whom. The emergence of Mondo Clean, wrestling most underrated monster, introducing the Mongolian Mauler, and a wild Q&A interview with Richard Lee and the Moondogs. Arena reports, where the correspondents, the fans, write about what they saw at their matches at their local arenas. Continuation of the Elner's advice for the Z-Man. Wrestling Inquirer, Koloff spurs offer from Paul Lee. Putski Sims win vacated GWF belts. Scott Putski won the GWF Global Heavyweight Championship after Eddie Gilbert left with the title. He left the company with the title, and Terry Sims became the new light heavyweight champion. Lee scores Smoky Mountain title win. Yeah, Brian Lee won a tournament, become the first Smoky Mountain champion. Undertaker rescues the Ultimate Warrior. I guess there was a match between Ultimate Warrior and Papa Shango when the Berserker interfered, and then Berserker interfered and Undertaker came to the rescue. So that I did not see that, but that would have been interesting seeing Undertaker and Ultimate Warrior as a tag team. And the hot shot, the photo of the Ultimate Warrior versus Papa Shango. And of course, ad for Pro Wrestling Illustrated Weekly. I have some of these, but I do not know where they are. I think I might have threw them away. I'm not sure, but I cannot find these. But would definitely like to find them if I could. Of course, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated hotline. Okay, this is just a review of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated from October 1992. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again later.